Cashflow Diary Podcast, episode 28.
Congratulations, you showed up. Give yourself a high five in celebration of your success. Welcome to the Cashflow Diary, where new and experienced investors come to take confident action towards their goals. Your host is a family man, a real estate entrepreneur, investor, coach, and instructor. As a master facilitator of Robert Kiyosaki's Cashflow 101 game, he's inspired many to begin their journey into creating cash flow for themselves and their family. And now, here he is to offer you the tools required to earn the income desired. Your cash flow coach, Jay Massey.
Well, hello there. Welcome to another episode of the Cashflow Diary Podcast. Glad that you're here today. Hopefully, this episode is catching you in a good mood. You probably have noticed, for those of you who are listening every time this comes out, when it comes out, you know that a special event has just happened. Yep, we are done with a quarter. We're done with 90 days of productivity. Hopefully, it's been productive for you. So what we're going to do is I'm gonna share with you a quarterly review process that I like to do from time to time. And sometimes you don't have to wait for a quarter to end to do it. However, now is a good time. It's the end of the quarter. So let's figure this out. So today we're going to be discussing what is popularly known as a SWOT analysis: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And I'm just going to share with you some of the ways that you may want to do this, some of the things that have happened, I know, for me in this past 90 days that you can begin to look at and to examine so that you can have an understanding that as you're out there to build cash flow in your real estate investing, some of the questions you want to be asking yourself, some of the things you want to be paying attention to, some of the metrics that are important so that you know that you're, well, on the right track. Because it's can be, I guess it's been said before, that entrepreneurship can be a little bit of a lonely business. So with that being said, I want to make sure that we do cover that. Now, for those of you listening to us for the first time, make sure you download the first episode to find out a little bit more about the history, who I am, etc., if that's important to you. But the short version is, a few short years ago, didn't really have a whole lot of good things going on. I couldn't walk and talk, had issues with my lungs, punctured lung, etc. My wife almost died a few times from a condition known as hyperemesis. And today we have the privilege of being real estate investors, and through the concepts taught by Robert Kiyosaki and Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and just more importantly, doing them, not just talking about them. They have transformed our life, and we're on our way. That the whole point of this podcast, or part of what started it, was the fact that I wanted to have something to document, to help my kids follow if something, so that way, they'd have a record of how Dad was able to get to, again, this is the goal here, is to get over to 1,000 units in the U.S. free and clear with 1 million square feet of commercial real estate space. So clearly, we're not there yet, but we indeed are on the way. We're fastly approaching 400 and have just under 20,000 square foot space of commercial space at the moment. And we've done it in a relatively short time. It's been at this moment, a little more than 5 years since we've started. So we're going to keep doing that. We can keep sharing how we do that as we continue, obviously having guests, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So that really wasn't a quick review. Sorry about that. Tried, didn't work out so well. And also remember, for those of you who haven't already, go over to learninvestingnow.com. Get your free e-course teaching you how to be a wholesaler. That's how I started a few short years ago, being able to transact real estate using none of my own money or credit. And being able to create value, taking that value and selling it into the marketplace. So go over to learninvestingnow.com, put your email in the box, get started, have some fun with that. And if you haven't already, feel free to leave us a comment about the show on iTunes. Always appreciate those. And if you have any questions, anytime, feel free to dial in to 800-689-1764, 800-689-1764. We've got dedicated people who are answering the emails. Most of the emails, for sure, I get and I answer. And many of the phone calls, too. You won't actually talk to me live, but if you leave a message, I'll do my best to either send you an email and or maybe even call you if you give me that opportunity to do so as well. Anyway, with that being said, let's get over to the episode today and get into our quote. Here's one of the quotes that I think will go nicely with what we're going to be talking about. The quote is, "Let the refining and improving of your own life keep you so busy that you have little time to criticize others." That comes to us from a gentleman by the name of H. Jackson Brown Jr. You probably know him for his inspirational book, Life's Little Instruction Book. Was a bestseller for nearly 3 years in the New York Times, which in my opinion is a significant accomplishment. But what I like about this is the focus of the quote. Let the refining and improving of your own life keep you so busy that you have little time to criticize others. Now, depending on how you slant, you've spent the last few days, weeks, what have you, criticizing people in politics and government, etc. But you know what? That statement could be good regardless of what time you're listening to this, right? And maybe that's distracted you from your goals or whatever it is that you're looking out there to accomplish. So hopefully now you can focus more on the refining and improving of your own life. And my goal here is to share some of that refining and improving that I'm going to be focused on. And maybe there's something in it for you to glean as well. So the strategy is known as a SWOT analysis, S.W.O.T, S.W.O.T, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. It was taught to me a number of years ago, and one of the things that you want to look at in a SWOT analysis are exactly those 4 areas, and the first 2, strengths and weaknesses, I tend to look at those as what did we do well and what did we not do well, meaning past tense, over the past 90 days. So you also may have heard this called like a plan, do, and review. This is kind of that idea in as well. So with the strengths and weaknesses, I tend to put those into the past category. So, and there's a thought process out there I heard it from Blair Singer, I believe, was one of the first persons, I should say, that I heard teach it, where he just said, celebrate all wins. And this can be a place when you're talking about your strengths for you to celebrate those wins. Where did you have wins the past 90 days? And the weaknesses obviously could not be a win, but it could also be a win if you at least recognize that the weakness exists, so that I consider those wins as well, because now you can actually do something about it. With that being said, we've got the issue then of the second part of this is the opportunities and threats. And before we get there, we'll definitely have our cash flow question in the middle for those of you who are constantly emailing in or phoning in with the answers. You're winning the book, and that's awesome. Excellent. But let's talk about some strengths. So think about the last 90 days. Ask yourself this question. What did you do well? What would you say is noteworthy or worthy of celebration? Now, if you're like most people, you probably don't have many things to say, because I just asked you the question and you haven't thought about it, and you're like, I don't know, and you don't journal. And because you don't journal, you don't remember what you did every day. And that's, another way of saying you might want to start journaling so that you can remember some more of the things that you're doing. And here's a type of journal that I was taught to use that we actually do inside of our premium membership. We do this from time to time. And it's just simply ask yourself this question. Fill in the blanks, really. 5 reasons I was successful today are, or 5 reasons I am successful today are. Just answer that question. And if you answer that question consistently, when it comes down time to do a strengths analysis, you'll know some of the things that you've done that worked very, very well, so that you have that. So for me, and mostly off the top of my head, some of the things that I was thinking about is that last year, 2012, was a challenging year to say the least. We bought nothing, which was, for me, very uncharacteristic. We actually went many, many months without actually closing an escrow on a new building, and that was just odd, hard to adjust to and accept. So some of the wins for this particular quarter for us were simply that we acquired another 182 units and 18,000 square feet of commercial space. I was very excited about that because it was like finally back in the game. There was a time not too long ago where if I went 30 days without buying a building, something was wrong. And, yeah, at the same time, acquiring larger buildings doesn't mean you're going to close a new one every 30 days. But it was just like, wow, I haven't bought anything in a while. Didn't know really what to do with myself because that had become commonplace, of course, to be in escrow, to be buying stuff, etc. So those I know for us over here were very, very big wins because it's like we're back in the game. I had finally recovered from my car accident. My back is feeling better. Still not perfect, by the way. So if I'm ever in your town and I'm speaking, trust me, at some point, I'm sure my back is still not feeling 100%, but I do my best and get through it. And, having acquired the new buildings and real estate was kind of like a signification to me that, hey, cool, we're getting back to normal. Another thing that I consider a strength is that my wife got to come with me. She doesn't always get to come with me when I'm doing due diligence trips, etc. But this one was kind of hard to avoid because it was in the beautiful country of Belize. If you've never been, go. So she got to come there. I was able to go to my one of my middle daughters is just turned 5. Well, not just turned 5, but just had her first day of school. So I was able to participate in that. And that was fun, and sometimes one of the things that I like to recognize is just exercising discipline and self-control when it comes to not purchasing something that I know I may eventually need, but I waited until I needed it. And that for me is a definite new win. We definitely developed some new relationships that I hope will lead to the types of introductions to the individuals that we need as investors and property managers, etc., to expand the team. And here's a good lesson I think that I want to make sure that everyone picks up is part of the due diligence trip, if you will, was for me to fly my entire team, to the actual location. Now, yes, it wasn't overly challenging to get everybody to want to go to a warm tropical climate where the food is great and the water is perfect. However, it wasn't inexpensive either. And this is a lesson that I've learned and relearned, and just a statement that I want to share with you. If you're looking at investing somewhere, in anything, if you can't afford the due diligence, or rather aren't willing to pay for the due diligence, then you probably shouldn't be in the investment. In this particular case, it was a significant investment of time and effort on everyone's part, and most importantly, making sure that everybody got there. And again, I wasn't expecting the team to go, yay, I'm glad I'm going, or I'm glad that I get to spend all this time looking at, these properties, etc. But I wanted to make sure that I had as much information as I could possibly obtain from all angles, because as an entrepreneur, you are naturally optimistic and everything looks perfect and there's no way it can go wrong. And then it's always best to have other people's opinions and input on the information as well. And new things came to light. So I was very, very excited that we did that very, very well. We also were able to acquire multiple new investors over this past 90 days and raised well over $1 million of capital, which is very, very exciting. However, probably the thing I'm most excited about is that in this past 90 days, we started our wholesaling mastermind group. You're like, what is that? I didn't hear about it. I know. We're getting better at letting people know about these things. However, it was basically just a group of people that I was mentoring through the wholesaling process. For those of you who downloaded the book on learninvestingnow.com, the wholesaling process. You've got to read through the book. And then I just took some people through that process. One of them has, I know she's been able to earn at least $15,000. It's probably over $20,000 now in the last 90 days. And I'm very, very excited for her. I'm excited for her because I know her life will never be the same now. And more importantly than that, for me and for you, is that I got the encouragement that I needed to know that I can continually deliver this information via ebooks and video and courses, etc., and that you guys are listening. that you guys are going out there and actually taking action. That's honestly the stuff that I need to hear. Those are the things that I need to know. Make sure you call into the line and let me know, that something positive is happening for you based upon something that I've said or shared, or even if just as a new way of looking at something. That's fine. That's progress. Again, if you don't already have the number, though, it's 800-689-1764. And probably something all of you are excited about is that I got a new microphone. Don't know if you care about that at all, but I know I do. So it was definitely fun to be able to go through that microphone process yet again, to do my best to make sure that the quality is best. Again, I'm not a sound guy. I'm not any of these things. I'm on so many learning curves here, doing the best I can just to make sure that the information is there. Now that's from the strength side, and that was relatively easy to think about, for me for this past quarter. And then when it comes to the weaknesses, just a point of advice: don't come up with 50 of them. Just try to pick 1, 2, or 3 that you can come up with that probably were the biggest weaknesses that created the most amount of damage, or need to be addressed. Things that you just handled horribly, that you want to make sure that going into this next quarter you don't do that way again. And I know for me, I specifically hired a person and put them in the wrong position, and I let them, and that in and of itself isn't so bad. You hear about CEOs talking about all the time how they had a bad hire. The thing that I did very, very horribly is that I let the person play out of position far too long, and that's the mistake. That's the thing that must be corrected, and has technically already been corrected. But the point is that you've got to, you're the CEO. You're the one who must understand everyone's strengths, everyone's weaknesses, what they're able to handle, what they're not able to handle, and making sure that everybody else works well together and is playing where they're the strongest. Keep this in mind. Inside your business, do only that which you do best. Now, here's the exception to that rule. You're the CEO. You may not be the best CEO you've ever been. In fact, here's usually the guilty party, is that you have a skill set in accounting, or you have a skill set with a hammer. So you said, I'm going to do my own books, or I'm going to do my own rehabs, or something of that nature. You try to, fill those gaps. The point is, the CEO doesn't swing the hammer, and the CEO doesn't do his or her own accounting. And you need to learn to grow into that, person who relies on other people to do that. Now, you can say, no, I'll never do that. And that's fine. Just understand that that's a choice that you're making. And by making that choice, you intentionally will keep your company smaller than maybe the size of your dream or commitment. And there's nothing wrong with that. Just don't be deceived in thinking I'm going to grow my business large if you're going to keep tight control, so tight that only you will allow you to do certain things. Because as my CFO is now famous for saying, there are people for that. And then when you do have the individuals there, you've got to make sure that they're playing in the correct position. Now, I make reference to sports because it's an easy place to do so. So if you don't know anything about basketball, if you think about it, the guards, the people near the 3-point line, typically are the shortest people on the court. And the centers are typically the largest people, tallest for sure, on the court. Typically, not always. However, if you take the person who is the tallest and turn him or ask him or her to play guard, that's a challenge. Mostly because that's not the skill set he or she is typically trained to do for the longest amount of time. So it's very, very unfamiliar to them. Plus, there are just physics involved that make it easier for the people who are lowered to the ground to be in control of the ball. Now, there are obviously exceptions to these rules, and I'm sure we'll get phone calls and or emails telling me how LeBron James is the best and Michael Jordan this and Kobe that. But I think you get the understanding that I'm making. If you have people on your team that are supposed to play a position, and what your job is to make sure that the people who are playing in the right position. Oftentimes, especially when you have an economy such as we do right now, People who need an income will let you know or say things like, I can do that, which is technically true. They can do it. They have the physical ability to do it. Just doesn't mean that they should be. All right. So that they may have the physical ability, but the point is, doesn't mean that they are the highest. That's the highest and best use of their time. And it's your job to find those people that are going to be using their strengths in the highest and best use. And most importantly, when you realize that you've put someone in the wrong spot, move fast to get them into the correct spot. So, with that being said, let's get over to our cash flow question, and then we will continue with the opportunities as well as threats. So, our question from last week was, what was the country of Belize previously called? And for those of you answering, congratulations. The copy of the book is on its way. So the answer is, of course, British Honduras. So maybe now you go, oh, that's where it is. And that's fine. And for those of you, yes, if you've been paying attention to the Facebook page at all, you also have noticed some photos. Most of those photos are ones that I took while I was there. And yes, it does look that beautiful. It's just the way it is. Nothing you can do about it. It's awesome. For those of you who don't know, if you want to participate and have a shot at getting a copy of the free copy of the new book that's about to be released, make sure that you send in an answer to the question. So the first person to call in or email at cashflowquestion@cashflowdiary.com and or phone in at 800-689-1764 with the answer to the question. Make sure that you send in your address because it can't email you a book. It just doesn't work that way. Something about the physics there. So, and what we'll do is make sure that you get a copy. All you got to do is answer correctly to this week's question. The question is, when building your business, now this is real estate or otherwise, any business, which team member is one of the first, if not the first, you should look to bring aboard? When building your business, real estate or otherwise, which team member is one of the first, if not the first, you should look to bring aboard? And there's technically one of three answers that I'm looking for in this particular one, just to give you a little bit of a hint, but they all perform very similar functions, just in increasing responsibilities. So any one of the three answers will do me fine. Just make sure that you send it in. Again, 800-689-1764, or you can email us at cashflowquestion@cashflowdiary.com. All right, let's get back to the review process. Remember, it's called a SWOT analysis. That's S.W.O.T. That means now on the opportunities and threats, what are the opportunities for your business in the next quarter? And what are the things that can possibly, that you can see today that might pose a bit of an impediment to the future growth or expansion or operations of the business? So this is all stuff that you see in the future is how I see it. So the opportunities, I know for us, one of the things that I'm looking forward to is actually finishing the book and getting it out to you guys. I get emails constantly and phone calls. And when you guys see me in person, you're saying, I can't wait for the new book, which adds all kinds of pressure, but that's okay. I hope it's to your expectations and helps you in every way that I want it to. I really, really do. And then, but that's still an opportunity. It's an opportunity for us to influence you so that you can go out there and, create your own income, whatever that might look like. Even if it's $1, it's $1 more than you've ever created as a self-employed person or a business owner, small business, big business, what have you. And that means you've learned a new skill set, and that's exciting. Not everybody obviously is going to ever, create any money, but you may be able to produce new value by having new ways of thinking. And that's one of the things that I like about books in general, because books are nothing but a collection of ideas that the author has written that he or she believes will benefit you. And if you get if you get one idea, that one idea may pay off and well more than the price of a book. And those are the things. And all of us have read good books that, you take one idea and you're like, oh, wow, that was great. That was what I needed. And that's kind of how I look at, books or seminars or anything of that nature. I'm just looking for one new idea because who knows what the value of one new idea is. And at the end of the day, does it really matter? As long as I get it. If you get one new idea from everything that you do, a collection of those over time, suddenly you're a completely different person. So I look at the book as an opportunity for us in the company, and I'm very, very excited about it. It's a new process, obviously, so that we can go through it, together. Clearly, we're still looking at acquiring more property. There's a 28 unit, a 44 unit, and another 36,000 of square feet of commercial space that we're currently examining and looking at, and I'm excited about those. Still got to put all those pieces together, and we've got more tenants. Still looking for commercial space on the building that we acquired. So I've just been very, very encouraged by the number of businesses that have, raised their hand saying, hey, we would be interested in that particular space. And that's been exciting. So there's lots of opportunity there. And then I've been able to work with my operations officer who's been doing an incredible job this year of protecting the company assets and keeping things filled, et cetera, et cetera. And we were working on a plan, believe it or not, I'm still in shock, of actually being able to have 100% occupancy on an annual basis for a number of years on one of the projects. And I'm very, very excited that such a plan could even be possible, let alone feasible, and that now we're working to make it probable. And it's just amazing that these things are going on. And with that, we also have a new person starting. We're expanding. So I always get excited when new people come aboard because they bring a fresh perspective, and we can get jaded and think, oh my goodness, we're so great. But yet when a new person comes in, it's an opportunity for us to learn about what we're not doing well, what we are doing well, and why on earth would you want to join us anyway? That's always a good question for you to be asking and for you to know, because there are things that other people see that are valuable about you, your company, etc., that you're providing that you may not even be aware of, that are part of the value proposition. The point is, though, is by bringing in new people, that becomes an opportunity for you to become aware of it. And then now that the wholesaling mastermind group is coming towards an end, we're getting ready to start our private capital mastermind group. And I know I've done live events where I've talked and discussed about how to raise private capital. Obviously, inside the book, I've got my system for being able to do that. And I think that's why a lot of people have, already ordered the book, because they want to make sure that they have it, especially those who have been to the live events. They're like, oh my God, okay, is that going to be in your book so I can review this? And, I totally understood. And based upon the success that we've had with the wholesaling mastermind group, I'm really excited about the opportunity to begin mentoring people through the raising capital process so that, they can learn how to raise hundreds, if not millions of dollars. I mean, I don't know, but I know this. I know that I've helped other people do it before, and therefore it becomes an opportunity. It's another opportunity for me to help some of you very individuals to be able to learn how to raise capital. And that's one of the things that I've seen in my admittedly short time as a real estate investor that holds people back. They say, I would do real estate if I knew how to get the money, if I this, if I that, if then one day, someday I might. And, one of the gifts that I was given is that I was given a credit score of 398 and absolutely no cash. And so therefore we had to figure out how to do it. And now we know how to do it, and that's great. And now I want to help other people do the same thing, because I know some of you, your fathers, your husbands, your spouses, whatever, are looking to you to provide a solution. And I want you to have it in any way that I can. And if there's something that I know that can help you do that, I want to give it to you as best I can in this group setting to make sure that happens. So I'm excited about that, because then that'll be just, who knows, 12 or 24 or a few more of you who were able to help change. Now, in the grand scheme of things, of all of you guys listening, what are the chances really of, I can't influence everybody, but if I can help 12, then you 12 can go help 12 more each, and, et cetera, et cetera. I just want to make a difference. And it's great that my family has enjoyed some good things. I'm just doing anything that I can to make it possible, dare I say probable, for other people to experience it too. And this is one of the ways that I've come up with. It worked very well for the wholesale group. So now I'm looking forward for it working to helping people learn how to raise private capital as well. So that's definitely some of the opportunities that we see on the horizon. But also remember opportunities from a personal nature. Now, most of you don't know this, but the majority of my immediate family, including myself, all have birthdays in the fourth quarter, starting with my wife, and it just keeps going. Yeah, so in addition to all of the other holidays and etc. That you know about, you got to add like 3 or 4 or 5 birthdays all on top of that. And that becomes a very, very busy quarter for us. But those are opportunities to strengthen the relationships. Those holidays are opportunities for you to encourage people and make sure that your team continues to grow. And everybody can learn to become a part of your team in some way, shape, or form. So keep that in mind. Now, for the threats, again, just like we did with the weaknesses, I don't want to think of 50 different things to worry about. Okay, so don't project your mind too far into the future. Just try to come up with those 1 or 2 things. Like if you could get that straightened out, it would have a great, huge impact all across your entire business. And I know for us, one of the things that is relatively new for us is the rapid expansion of personnel that we're going through. We know how to acquire buildings really quickly, but we know how to build, teams around the building and around the real estate. But what happens when your internal team starts to grow fast, right? How do you have the systems in place to be able to, ask yourself this question? Because I was reading a book, I believe it's The Ultimate Sales Machine by Chet Holmes. And it's in the virtual book club. If you haven't already, feel free to go over there, etc. If you do click one of the links over there, yes, we'll get a small little commission from Amazon or from wherever you buy it from. But that's not the point. The point is, I was reading the book and he posited a question. He's like, okay, what would happen to your business if you could hire 50 people this week? Do you have the systems in place to bring 50 new people, to bring them aboard and get them properly trained and working? Now, for most of us, myself included, especially right now, that answer is absolutely not. Couldn't do so. And then he made it worse. He was like, okay, so even if you did have that, what would happen if you did that again next week? I'm just like, yeah, I got some work to do. However, after the experience that I had this past quarter, I think that's the big thing that we've got to go out there and figure out and tackle and learn about. That's my new learning curve, is trying to figure out, how do I systematize those things, in terms of bringing aboard new people? Because on our way to the larger asset holdings that I speak about, it's not going to be done by just the few of us that exist. It's going to take a lot of us. And it's not just about me. It's about me sharing with you the process and the thinking that I'm going through, so that you can take from it whatever you'd like, so that you can do the same thing and try to point out the things that happen on the way. So hopefully, this has been useful for you in some way, shape, or form. I have no idea. But I know this. I know that doing these analyses from time to time will help you stay focused. It'll help you develop, maintain your business plan, make sure that you're staying on track. Now, remember this. Progress is a part of the process. Focusing solely on the destination is an error in judgment. So take the time to examine the miles traveled and the journey ahead. Until next time.
Thank you for investing your time with Jay Massey and the Cash Flow Diary. When you have a moment, please visit iTunes and leave a positive comment about the show. And go now to our website, cashflowdiary.com, to take advantage of our free business building course, Cash Flow Foundation. Gain the knowledge, understanding, and skill that will teach you how to never need a job again. Until next time.